Welcome to HardScript.
Help me reach 5,000 subscribers. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I can't touch you, nor kiss you. Please don't ask me to. That was the message. No context, no emotion, just delivered like an invoice. I stared at it in the middle of a grocery store parking lot, holding a bag of rotisserie chicken and 2 bottles of wine, the kind she used to like. I remember thinking, this feels like a weather report. Something distant, irritating, but not personal. I didn't text back, didn't ask what she meant, because deep down, I already knew. That message wasn't the beginning of a conversation. It was the conclusion of one she'd been having without me. The ride home was quiet. No music, just the low hum of the tires and the thought. If she sent that message, she already made her choice. I walked through the front door like it wasn't mine anymore. The lights were on. The air smelled like vanilla and indifference. Her shoes were by the door, but not facing mine. She was in the kitchen, on her phone, didn't even look up. I placed the food on the counter without a word. She said, "I'm not hungry." Not cruel, just flat, like she was trying to make my presence less intrusive. I nodded, not to her, to myself, like a man confirming the weather he already felt on his skin. I didn't sit down, didn't unpack anything. Instead, I walked to the bedroom, looked at the bed we hadn't shared in weeks. The covers were made too perfectly, like no one had dared disturb them. That's when it clicked. She wasn't asking for space. She was signaling that she had moved into a different emotional country, and I didn't have a passport. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because she told me to, because I refused to sleep in a museum. In the middle of the night, I woke up and checked my phone again. The message was still there, unchanged, undeleted. It felt deliberate, like she wanted me to feel it again and again. But instead of pain, I felt focus. No confrontation, no arguments, no questions. Just one single decision forming in my mind like a storm front. This wasn't about saving the marriage anymore. It was about saving myself. And when morning came, I made coffee for one, sat in silence, and realized I wasn't going to fix anything. I was going to finish it. The morning after the message, everything felt too normal. She moved through the kitchen like nothing had happened, made herself breakfast, scrolled her phone, poured orange juice into a glass she used every day, the one I gave her on our 2nd anniversary. But something was different. Not in her actions. In mine. I didn't wait for a conversation. Didn't ask if she wanted to talk. Didn't sit at the table across from her like some loyal ghost hoping for crumbs of affection. Instead, I walked back to the bedroom, took out a suitcase, unzipped it slowly, and started folding clothes. Not in anger. Not in panic. Just precision. T-shirts, jeans, socks, a jacket she never liked, but I always wore when I felt most myself. Each item into the suitcase like I was marking a boundary, not with words, but with absence. She walked in halfway through, stood in the doorway, holding that same glass of juice. Didn't say a word. She watched me pack, and for the first time in weeks, I saw something crack in her expression. Confusion? Guilt? Maybe both. But I didn't give her a line to interrupt. Didn't ask for clarity. Didn't give her a stage. I packed like a man who had already left emotionally and was just collecting the physical proof. I grabbed the watch my dad left me, the photo of my late brother. The book she once said was pointless, but I'd read it cover to cover every year. No ring. I didn't even look at it. That symbol had lost its weight the moment she sent that message. I can't touch you, nor kiss you. She meant it. And now so did I. I left the framed photos on the walls. Let her keep the furniture. Didn't care about the blender, the smart TV, the shared playlists. I wasn't dividing assets. I was reclaiming identity. She finally spoke. Said something like, "You don't have to do this." But it came out too flat. Too late. I didn't even look at her when I replied. I just said, "I already did." Then I zipped the suitcase. Stood up. Walked past her like I was walking through fog. Untouchable, unaffected. She didn't follow. Didn't beg. Didn't apologize. She just stood there, holding that glass like it might suddenly explain everything. But it didn't. And I didn't. Because silence is the only language some people understand once they've stopped listening to anything else. Leaving the house was easy. The real work started once I got to my car. I sat behind the wheel for 10 minutes. Not crying. Not second-guessing. Just planning. Because when a man decides to reclaim his peace, the first step isn't noise. It's deletion. I opened my banking app. Removed her name from every shared account. Revoked access to the card she used for groceries, takeout, streaming subscriptions. She'd feel it by noon. Not because I wanted her to struggle, but because I refused to finance my own replacement. Next was the cloud. Family photo albums, shared drives, calendar syncs. Unlinked. Gone. That Google Calendar we both used? The one where she added yoga nights, girls' weekends, and don't wait up. I deleted my profile from it. Let her wonder why her events stopped syncing. Then the passwords, Hulu, Netflix, Spotify, all changed. Let her feel the silence when the music didn't play. I knew what this looked like to the outside world. Petty. Vindictive. But it wasn't that. It was math. She told me she couldn't touch me, couldn't kiss me, so I made sure she couldn't access me. Not financially, not digitally, not emotionally. I logged out of the shared Amazon account, disabled auto deliveries, took back the name on the lease. I had signed for it before we got married anyway. She might still live in that apartment, but legally, she lived there alone. I blocked her on social media, not because I wanted to punish her, but because I didn't need a front row seat to her version of the story. Let her post quotes about healing and self-love. Let her share pictures with friends, looking unbothered. It wasn't my job to see it, or to believe it. That afternoon, she sent a single text. Why are you doing this? I didn't reply, because if you have to ask that question, you were never listening to the answers. And she stopped listening long before she pressed send on that message. The one that said, I can't touch you, nor kiss you. Now, she doesn't get to reach for anything. Not my time, not my money, not even my presence. And for the first time in months, I could breathe. The next morning, I checked out of the city. Not just the apartment, not just the relationship, the whole version of me she used to know. I canceled my lease and moved into a furnished place across the river. Quiet building. No shared history. No memories built into the walls. The guy who signed the new rental agreement had a different haircut, wore a leather watch instead of a fitness tracker, started buying black coffee again. None of that almond milk vanilla syrup nonsense she liked. It felt small, but it was the first time in years I made a choice she hadn't touched. I changed my phone number. New SIM, new carrier, new voicemail. You've reached a number that doesn't belong to the past. I didn't even keep the old phone. I dropped it in a drawer and left it there like a tombstone. My friends, the real ones, 2 of them, got a message. I'm good. Just needed air. Don't forward anything. No explanation. Because the people who matter don't need one. And the ones who do? They don't matter anymore. I kept my job, but went remote. Told HR I was taking time off for personal restructuring. They didn't ask questions. I didn't offer any. For the first time in forever, my calendar was blank. Not empty, just free. And that's when it started, the echoes. A missed call from a mutual friend. Then a second one, this time followed by a text. She's asking about you. Wants to know if you're okay. I left it unread. Because I wasn't missing. I was gone by choice. See, when someone tells you they can't kiss you, can't touch you, what they're really saying is, I no longer choose you. So I made my own choice. To become untraceable. No status updates. No healing quotes. No revenge stories. Just a man who slipped quietly into his own life and locked the door behind him. She, on the other hand, started making noise. She called my old phone, emailed my work address, even showed up to the old apartment once. Neighbors said she looked lost, but not sad. More startled. She expected distance, not disappearance. But that's the thing. You don't get to send someone a cold message and then panic when the ice finally cracks under your own feet. She made her choice. And now, she was living with the silence she asked for. It started with a message from a username I didn't recognize. No profile picture. No bio. Just the handle at warmwind_32. The message read, Hey, I know this is weird. Just wanted to check in. How are you? At first, I thought it was spam. But there was something off about the wording, something too familiar. No one types like that unless they used to know your rhythm. So I didn't respond. I waited. 2 days later, another message. Not trying to bother you. Just, I've been thinking, wondering if you're okay. Still no name. Still no photo. But now I was sure. It was her. Because here's what people don't realize. When someone's been in your life long enough, you recognize their silence just as clearly as their voice. And that's what this was. Her silence, dressed up in curiosity. I didn't answer. Not to punish her, but because I had nothing left to explain. She had said everything with one sentence. I can't touch you, nor kiss you. That wasn't just a boundary. That was a eulogy. And now she wanted to ask the man she buried how his afterlife was going? I didn't know her a resurrection. Still, I looked at that message more than I'd like to admit. Not because it hurt, but because it proved something. She was feeling it now. The emptiness. The cold she had invited in. When I stopped reacting, she lost the script. She wasn't used to silence being returned. She was used to pleas, explanations, apologies. Now she was sitting in the ruins she lit herself, and finally noticing the smoke. 3 days passed. Then came the third message. I miss the way you used to look at me. That's when I knew. She wasn't reaching out to reconnect. She was reaching back to a version of herself she no longer recognized. But that version only existed because I held space for it. And when I stopped holding, she vanished with it. I didn't respond, didn't block her, didn't react. Just closed the app, put down the phone, and went for a run through the new neighborhood. Cold air, quiet streets. Nobody knew me there, which meant nobody owed me anything. And that was the most honest place I'd been in years. It wasn't planned. I wasn't stalking her feed. I hadn't followed mutual friends. I wasn't trying to accidentally run into her. I was just grabbing coffee before a client call, a quiet spot tucked between a bookstore and a laundromat. It was the kind of place we used to avoid. Too plain for her. No aesthetic. But that day, as I stepped through the door, I felt it before I saw it. The tension. The air thickening. My skin recognized her presence before my eyes did. And there she was, at a corner table, head down, sipping from a paper cup. Alone. Her hair was different. Shorter. Darker. Like she was trying to edit herself into a new draft. She looked up and froze. And then she smiled. That smile. It wasn't joyful. It wasn't apologetic. It was hopeful. Too hopeful. Like she thought this was fate stepping in, staging some sort of full-circle miracle. But miracles don't happen where graves have been dug. She opened her mouth, maybe to say my name. Maybe to offer a hey. Or a wow. This is crazy. But I didn't let her get that far. I looked at her, calm, unreadable, and kept walking. Past the counter. Past the smell of burnt espresso. Past her reaching eyes. I didn't stop. Didn't nod. Didn't flinch. Just out the door. Not because I hated her, but because I didn't recognize the version of me she thought she was smiling at. That man, the one who would have sat down, asked how she'd been, maybe even believed in second chances. He was long gone, buried under that message. The one that said, I can't touch you, nor kiss you. She probably told herself it was a boundary, a cry for space. But it was more than that. It was an invitation for me to disappear. And I had accepted. So no, I didn't know her as seen. Not a handshake. Not a glance. Not even a flicker of memory. She watched me walk away in silence. And that silence? It said everything. Because when a man finally heals, truly heals, he doesn't return for closure. He walks past the door she left open and never looks back. After the coffee shop, the silence got louder. She didn't message again. No more fake accounts. No indirect check-ins. Nothing. It was as if that brief glance, that quiet rejection, was finally enough for her to understand. I was gone. But she didn't stay silent. Not really. She just changed her messengers. It started with Jenna, an old mutual from her yoga class. Weird running into her the other day, she texted. She seemed off. Said she's been thinking about you. I didn't reply. Then came Nate, a guy I used to grab drinks with once a month. Man, I bumped into your ex. She looked rough. Said she messed up bad. Delete. Then Melissa. Then Rob. One by one, the whispers came in. She's not dating anyone. She hasn't been the same. She talks about you more than she should. Like they were planting seeds. As if enough mentions could resurrect a man I no longer was. But here's the thing they didn't get. Healing in silence doesn't mean you're hiding. It means you've built a world where the past has no door to knock on. And anyone trying to open one isn't a friend. So I started cutting. Not loudly. No announcements. No social media cleanses. Just quiet removals. One contact at a time. Anyone who brought her name into my space, gone. Because if you knew how she made me feel, and still thought her pain deserved airtime, you were never on my side to begin with. There's a freedom in deleting people who speak in her voice. A clarity that comes when the only stories you listen to are the ones you're writing now, not the ones they're trying to revise. It wasn't about bitterness. It was about precision. Surgical distance. I wasn't interested in her sadness. Not curious about her regrets. She didn't want to touch me when it mattered. She didn't want to kiss me when I still would have kissed back. So she doesn't get to cry in my inbox now. Let her friends hold her hand. Let her journal, write her forgiveness. But me? I had nothing left to hear. She told me everything I needed to know in one message. And I've spent every moment since, making sure I never needed to hear another. I never meant for her to see me. It wasn't some staged appearance, no setup, no message in a mirror plan. I was just living, truly living, and it happened to be public. A Saturday morning, early brunch at a local spot. The kind with uneven tables, loud music, and terrible parking. But the food was good, and the company was better. Her name was Claire. No drama, no history, just presence. The kind of woman who didn't ask what I used to be. She only cared about who I was becoming. We were sitting outside, sunlight on our shoulders, the clink of silverware, coffee that actually tasted like coffee. Claire leaned in, touched my wrist lightly as she laughed at something I said. And I saw it. Across the street. Her. The woman who once said, "I can't touch you, nor kiss you." She was standing outside a boutique, phone in hand, mid-step. Her eyes found mine instantly, and froze. For a split second, she smiled. Automatic. Instinctual. Like she'd been rehearsing this reunion in her head. But then Claire looked up, tucked her hair behind her ear, laughed again, unaware of the shift in the air. That's when the smile broke. Not melted. Not softened. Broke. Her whole face dropped. The kind of expression you can't fake, can't time. That was the moment. Not when she sent the message. Not when I walked past her in the coffee shop. Not even when the mutuals told her I'd moved on. This was the moment it hit her. I wasn't hurting anymore. I wasn't waiting. I wasn't hers. She turned quickly, pretended to read a text, walked the other way. No approach. No second smile. Nothing. Just retreat. And I didn't follow. Didn't linger. Didn't explain to Claire. Didn't even glance back. I just sipped my coffee, listened to the story Claire was telling, and stayed exactly where I was. That day wasn't about revenge. It wasn't about proving anything. It was about presence. About the moment when your healing becomes visible, and the one who broke you realizes they don't even have the language to interrupt it. She saw me whole, and it crushed her. That's not triumph. That's closure, the kind no one gets to script. Not even her. It came 2 days after she saw us. A voice message. No text. No subject line. Just the little audio icon blinking beside her name. The same name I had moved to muted months ago. I stared at it for a moment. Didn't press play right away. Didn't feel the surge of curiosity I once would have. Just a quiet pause, a stillness. Then I put in my headphones. Not because I wanted privacy, because I wanted distance. And when her voice came through, I barely recognized it. It started soft, hesitant, almost like she wasn't sure if she should speak. Then the tremble. I know I have no right to say this. That line. The one people use when they finally feel the emptiness they created. She didn't cry, but her breath shook. You could hear the restraint, like her throat was fighting every word. She talked about the message. The one she sent months ago. Said it wasn't about me. Said she was lost. Confused. Didn't know how to tell me she was drowning in herself. She talked about the silence. How it felt louder than any argument. How it made her realize what she'd really walked away from. And then she paused. Long silence. Then one line. If there's still a window, even the smallest one, I'd step through it. That was the end. Just breath. Then the click of her fingers stopping the recording. No second message. No follow-up. Just that. I sat there for a minute. Then I took out my headphones. Stared at the screen. And pressed delete. No replay. No forward. No save for later. Just delete. Because here's what she didn't understand. The silence she ran from became my sanctuary. The space she mistook for coldness was the place I rebuilt myself in. And this message, as honest, as vulnerable, as raw as it was, wasn't a door. It was a mirror, a reflection of everything she chose too late to value. And I wasn't stepping into that again. I didn't hate her, didn't judge her, but I wasn't hers to reach anymore. Not through screens, not through memories, not through broken sentences at 2 a.m. She sent a voice note. I gave it silence. And that silence was louder than anything I could have said back. I didn't tell anyone I was leaving. No Instagram posts. No new chapter captions. No cryptic quotes about healing or moving on. I just packed, loaded my car, and drove. Claire knew, of course. But even she didn't know the full story. Not because I was hiding it, just done explaining it. Some things don't need a farewell tour. They just need a full stop. The city I left behind wasn't filled with pain. It was filled with echoes. Every coffee shop, every street corner, every familiar door, it all whispered her name. Not because I missed her, but because she never stopped lingering. Even in absence, she was present. In glances from mutual friends. In messages from her sister. In the look my dog gave every time we passed the park where she used to run. I had outgrown the ghost of her. So I found a quiet place. 2 hours away. Close enough for the job, far enough for peace. New walls. New air. New silence. And this time, the silence didn't feel like absence. It felt earned. I didn't block her. Didn't delete old photos. Didn't erase the past. But I didn't invite it forward, either. She stayed where she'd chosen to stand. On the other side of a message that read, I can't touch you, nor kiss you. And now? Now I wake up to warmth. Not just from another body, but from the peace in my own chest. Claire isn't a replacement. She's not better than what was before. She's just here, fully. And she never had to unlearn how to see me. I didn't build a new life to prove anything. Not to her. Not to the people who asked what happened. I built it because the version of me who stayed was gone. Not broken. Not bitter. Just done. Sometimes closure doesn't come in a conversation. It comes in silence that's never broken. She sent her last words in a voice note. I answered with distance. And if she ever wonders where I went, if she ever drives past the places we once were, she'll realize something. I'm not avoiding her. I'm just not available anymore. Not emotionally. Not mentally. Not in the ways she used to think were guaranteed. She stayed where I left her. And I took my silence. And built a life no message could undo. Real men don't explode. They exit. Subscribe for more power stories.